I'm Shuvo, and I try to analyze what helps an e-commerce store grow. I talk with store owners about their ideal customer profile, value proposition, go-to-market strategies, mistakes, and challenges so that you can learn and not make similar mistakes while you grow. In today's episode, we have Tawhid and Fabia, the founders of Khelo Dhaka. Khelo Dhaka is an e-commerce brand selling athleisure products. With quality and sustainability at the core of their company, Khelo Dhaka wants to build a brand that's eco-friendly and serves Mother Nature. Tawhid and Fabia are relying on conscious branding, pop-up stores, and channel partnerships to grow Khelo Dhaka in the upcoming days. Today, we'll learn how Khelo Dhaka is growing.
Before moving to Bangladesh, I used to live in South Africa. I lived there for a couple of years, and I saw how the market embraces change and works towards sustainability and the environment. For me, that was a great experience. I always wanted to bring that to Bangladesh, and I was always interested in the fashion industry while being a businessman. So wanted to combine that with my passion for the environment, and that's when Khelo was born. Khelo, which means play. Our tagline, "Play for Mother Earth," is basically where Khelo comes from. And then when I moved back, I reached out to Fabia. Her background is in the RMG sector. And from that, with our skill sets and passion for fashion and the environment, Khelo was born.
So what's Khelo all about?
Khelo, which in Bengali means play. We are a athleisure brand, which is also sustainable. And we are the first athleisure sustainable brand in Bangladesh. And our focus is to make from loungewear to athletic wear clothes for the market.
So countries like Bangladesh, what I know, they don't value a lot about the sustainability part of any business. So how you guys are thinking about taking your business forward with all the sustainability tagline and all the things you're doing for making sure the products are sustainable as well?
So sustainability is actually fairly a new idea to the Bangladeshi market, and we have been facing a lot of challenges in making people understand the value and importance of sustainability. So I think we have to put in more effort, more strategies into creating awareness in the Bangladeshi market. And once we do so, it would be much easier to pitch to people why they should buy sustainable clothes, especially at higher prices, rather than cheap clothes that would probably just wear out within few washes. Because sustainable clothing is like an investment for the long term.
So what are the things you're doing to make your products more sustainable?
We have maximized the potential that we have within our capacities, from fabric to packaging to
Supply chain,
everything that we've been doing, we have been keeping sustainability in mind. Our packaging is biodegradable. Our fabrics are usually organic, recycled, or from the stock lot. Buying stock lot is also a kind of sustainable strategy because when you're doing that, you're not overproducing, you're not creating pollution in the world anymore. So when you're using those to make clothes, you're actually saving the environment as well.
And you're also giving a second chance. To these fabrics that would end up in the landfill. We have a huge market with overproduced fabric. And those are, for years and years, they stay there and they end up in the landfill. And then usually it's called dead stock. So that is one of our ways of making sustainable clothing. But we are also looking at cotton, which is we use khadi, and we also use remi cotton, these are all very sustainable. We use recycled nylon, so we don't, or virgin. We don't use virgin nylon right now, which is what is available in the market. We try to bring those on board to produce.
Yeah. So you talked about awareness that you want to build first. So what are the things you're doing to build awareness?
our videos that we created for Khelo, I think, were the beginning of that strategy. And now slowly we are trying to implement more marketing strategies, awareness videos, not for our products per se, but for the concept of sustainability, to make people understand how buying sustainable is just not going to give them a better earth, but it's also going to help them build a better earth for the future generations.
Makes sense. So you are sort of in your marketing campaigns, you're looking to give them a value instead of
Yes.
giving the product.
Yes.
Sort of like Nike or different other brands doing
Precisely.
as
Oh yeah, so everything has a value proposition in Khelo, right? If you take different angles of our USPs, one of them, as Fabia mentioned, is the biodegradable packaging. Then we have our store credit, which is, you want to elaborate on?
Yeah, sure. Before starting Khelo, in the preliminary stages, Tawhid and I, we both took up courses to understand sustainable businesses better. He did a course on driving sustainable leadership, and I did one on sustainable fashion. So in my course, they actually taught us how to build a fashion brand that's sustainable. And one of my key takeaways from that was designing a zero waste economy, which is also called a circular economy. And we have designed, custom tailored, and implemented that into Khelo. People will not see it now because we have just done our first season. But as soon as we go and we start doing more seasons, we'll start taking back clothes. So customers are more than welcome to give us their clothes back when they deem that the lifespan is over.
Yep.
And we will give them a store credit for the return, and we will upcycle that product into something else and resell it. So in this process, nothing is being wasted.
Got it. So I would say you are a fairly new company in the industry, not that much long so far. So how is your growth looking at that time?
The word would be steady so far, but we recently launched. I mean, we must say how we have started. We were a COVID baby, I would say. We started in 2020, and right when we were about to launch, COVID hit. That really changed. It were all like unprecedented circumstances. We didn't know what we were facing. Every month seemed like we were going to launch. And that obviously backlogged so many different launch ideas that we had. So we finally launched in September, and so far we've been doing about like 10 to 20 orders a week, which is steady for us. Obviously our target would be much higher than that, but as a small business, I think we've been fairly doing all right. Also, the e-commerce, the consumer behavior has also changed post-COVID. We did really well when we launched. From September till December, it was great. People were buying online. We had great sales, and then something shifted in December. We saw the sales declining. So we kind of changed our strategy. We were like, okay, there must be a reason why. So we started doing pop-up stores. So like just randomly we would like be part of exhibitions, or we would choose a venue and then just tell our customers that we're going to be there for a couple of hours if you guys want to come purchase. Those had a great results, like when we did it. Like people were somehow, I think, as I said, the market kind of like changed the consumer behavior. They wanted to come see the products. So that's the strategy we've been taking since December. So we do a lot of pop-up stores so that the customers can come see the product, but it's mostly online. So yeah.
Makes sense. So I think your core target will be growing 4 to 5x this year. So what are the things you're planning to do to make sure of that growth?
So currently we are partnering up in different marketplaces. So that's one of the ways we're trying to grow. We have, so we usually get approached by local other fashion marketplaces to put our products up on their website. So we don't do it with everybody. We have partnered up with Looks, and we're looking at other marketplaces. And we're also looking at partnering up with a lot of gyms. We are one of our, so we have, Khelo is divided into two different clothing apparels. One is the athletic side and the other is the loungewear side. So the athletic part would be where we partner up with gyms, where we put our clothes there, and then would be another way of like growing our market in the local.
Makes sense. And in terms of, let's say, digital presence, anything there?
Yes, so we obviously have our socials. We're on Instagram, we're on Facebook. We're constantly doing boosting. So we also focus on like influencer marketing, but that too we are very we try to find influencers who also believe in sustainability. So that's how we kind of work with our influencers.
Got it. So far, did you run any campaign that attracted a lot of people?
I think our debut collection launch was the first one. Yes.
Okay.
And the next one would be for Earth Day, which is coming up.
What's coming up? Can you give you a little summary?
Yeah, so Earth Day, it's end of April. So we are planning on doing a launch at that time with a campaign launch to basically cater to the awareness of what Earth Day is. And that collection is all made of organic cotton. So we always try to like, as we mentioned previously, that most of our fabric or the fabric that we use, we try to make it as eco-friendly as possible. So that's coming up, yeah.
All right, so yeah, as I can understand, you guys provide a lot of values and thoughts to sustainability. Of course, the product line, there are innovations as well. So there should be a lot of challenges in the way you are working. So what would be your key challenges right at this moment?
So the biggest challenge that we're facing is to make people understand that sustainability is important, and that it's there's a lot of value and importance to it. Like, don't harm the environment anymore. Like, don't create more social issues. Like, when you're buying sustainable, not in terms of fashion, but just your lifestyle, when you're thinking through what you're doing, and if you're like water wastage, traffic, everything. I think the key challenges that we have been facing is that sustainability is fairly a new idea to the Bangladeshi market. And people do not understand the value and importance of it. It has been very hard to explain to people why a plain T-shirt has such a high price. But sustainability comes at a high price. The production cost is high, your research is high, your logistics expenses are high. So what happens is that people just think that, oh, we'd rather buy something cheap. But they do not understand that whatever they buy cheap is going to wear out after a few washes. But when you're actually buying something that's sustainable, it'll actually last you a couple of years, as opposed to something which will last you a month.
And we do have challenges in the supply chain as well, because we are a very export-oriented country. We have trouble with our suppliers who don't want to work with local brands unless you're ordering like 1 million pieces or something like that. So because we're also trying to promote slow fashion, but that doesn't also mean that our quantity will scale when we have built the market. But suppliers, manufacturers, they don't want to work with local brands.
It's just sad because, you go abroad. Bangladesh is the third biggest RMG sector in the world, and everything says made in Bangladesh. But then locally, no one wants to work with you. Everyone's like, no, we only do export. It's 100% export. And as a result, it becomes really hard to get factories that will actually give you high quality garment.
So what you're doing to solve this?
We are reaching out to people who actually also feel strong about sustainability, because those are the people who are coming on board. Because they believe in our cause, they believe in what we're doing, and when they believe in it, the quantity does not matter to them anymore.
So like our packaging, we, as I mentioned, that it's 100% biodegradable. and we have partnered with a local, very young team who invented this technology, and the science behind it is that you can actually recycle the bag at home, which is very difficult for most commercial biodegradable packagings, because you need a system to recycle. So things like that, when we were reaching out and when we were doing our research, we found out there are obviously people who want to partner up. It comes with a higher cost. And for our next production, we are, as Fabia mentioned, that we have partnered up with factories that are willing to come out in Bangladesh in a smaller quantity and that are believing in our USPs as well.
So in terms of future market expansion, what are your thoughts around that? Are you will be a Bangladeshi brand serving in the Bangladeshi market, or we are going global?
We are planning on going global.
We are.
But our target would be neighboring countries first.
Developing economies.
Yeah. And similar economies. Like we don't want to target India, but we would want to do in Nepal, and we would want to look into Sri Lanka. I've spent a great time in Nepal just before COVID to do a market research, and I think there's a huge potential there for Khelo. And why we say Khelo Dhaka as well, we also, because we wanted Dhaka to be the prime birthplace of Khelo. So our target would be to take Khelo Dhaka to like Chittagong, Sylhet. That would be also the next step in and I think that's very much possible through e-commerce. But we do want to have Dhaka there because we want people to be proudly recognize us as the birthplace for this brand.
So do you guys want to add anything for the new e-commerce store owners?
Absolutely. Do you want to say something first?
No, you go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. Yes, definitely. I think what everybody needs to understand that we're very new to the e-commerce industry in Bangladesh. It's a very unpredictable and unprecedented market. We are still very used to going to the roadside market to buy something, or going to the market to buy anything at all. So it will take us a little longer to reach a level where we're fully dependent on the e-commerce market. So my only advice to anyone who's willing to start or are in the business is that to be a little patient, because it is very unpredictable. It is also very volatile because you don't know what might happen next. So yeah, don't lose hope, be patient, and I think
A lot of patience.
Yeah.
That's the key. A lot of patience.
I think that's the key for any business.
Yes. But for e-commerce, I think a little bit more.
That's all for today. If you have learned something new, subscribe to the podcast so that you can keep learning and avoiding mistakes. Join our Facebook group and subscribe to our YouTube channel if you haven't already. I'll put the links in the description box. See you in the next episode of e-commerce growth.